my friends in Cleveland are not going to like this, but the better story isn't the losing locker room. And so let us discuss here the question, does this particular outcome, a blowout situation, does this say more about the Cleveland Browns or does it say more about the Pittsburgh Steelers? Well, if you've known how this show operates, it's pretty obvious here. This is all about Pittsburgh. All right, I've got Oxford versus Cambridge, intergalactic space, and TikTok, and we will combine all these things together. Now, Mike Tomlin, who I like, I have over the years fired Mike Tomlin several times, but it's just part of the job. Mike Tomlin has had a lot of really good moments as coach of the Steelers. This is not on that list, right? This is on the list. This is on the naughty list. This is not on the nice list. This is an embarrassment. Pittsburgh needed smelling salts. How do you show up like that in a playoff game? That is, to be kind, it was an alarming start. Biblically bad. A medley of mental mistakes, unforced errors, generally crummy football. I mean, the Steelers, the first offensive play for the Steelers, Maurice Pouncey, the center, had this wobbly cartoon snap. It was like the kind of snap you would see at a turkey weekend game with your family on Thanksgiving weekend. A lot of families get together to play Thanksgiving football. It was wobbly, and it sailed flying over the head of Ben Roethlisberger, and then Connor, the running back, had a chance to jump on it, at least down at the 1 yard line. No, he couldn't get a hold of it. Goes in the end zone, handing the Browns a 7-0 lead, and then that set the tone. First 6 possessions, the first 6 possessions of this game. Fumble, interception, punt, interception, punt, interception. And that's how the Browns, to their credit, they took advantage of it because we have known past Browns teams that would not have taken advantage of this to ambush Pittsburgh in the first quarter. The Steelers were eviscerated. They were absolutely eviscerated. Mike Tomlin, you are the head coach of the Steelers. Tomlin, please explain on how this team fell apart, not only in this game, but the end of the season.
It is what it is, man. Our record is our record. Our performances are our performances. And so don't run away from that.
Well, no, that's not it. It is what it is. That's word spam. That's not an explanation. All right, here's more from Mike Tomlin. You hear the question and the answer here. Mike Tomlin asked about Ben Roethlisberger, pretty much whether he's done or not.
Not related to any kind of decision he may or may not have to make, but do you think he can still play at a high level?
I do.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though. Could you imagine if Tomlin said, no, I think he blows. I think Ben Roethlisberger sucks. And I would like any other schmo to be quarterback of the Pittsburgh. Could you imagine if he had said that? There's only one way to answer that question. The other way would be, like, yeah, no comment. I'm not going to talk about that. Or that's what Belichick would have done. Right? If you ask him about, we'll wait, we'll get back to it. All right, now there was also a play. There was a 4th down play, and you're down by a gazillion points. You're trying to get back in the game, and Tomlin decides to punt. And this just annoyed the hell out of a lot of people who were watching the game. So here is Tomlin commenting on why he decided, instead of going for it on a 4th down there late, to punt.
We had some stops. Wanted to pin them down and maybe provide the short field for our offense. We had maybe 2 or 3 consecutive stops. And so I just wanted to keep the momentum going in terms of field positioning, but we weren't good enough in terms of doing that.
Should I explain to Mike Tomlin that momentum does not exist? That Chris Collinsworth is really selling the momentum, and then was it Nick Chubb, one of the Browns running backs, ran for a touchdown a few minutes after he was expiring. I think it was Kareem Hunt, but they were going, oh, the Browns don't have any momentum now, and then the Steelers have all the momentum, and then the touchdown Browns. All right, but think of this game like the legendary tale of Oxford versus Cambridge. That's a rowing competition from the 1800s. All right, late 1800s. The Browns moved to the middle of the river where the current is the fastest. You know, the term boat race, we use the term quite often, and what that is whoever takes the lead in a boat race, a rowing competition, they get to the middle first, they win. They almost never lose because that's where the boat, the rowing boat, goes the fastest. All right, now part B of this. So the Steelers have been eliminated from the postseason. We can now do inventory on the 2020 season. And it must be asked how things went so bad so fast. You heard Mike Tomlin say he's not running away from it. He said it is what it is. But Pittsburgh was the toast of the NFL. They were the 11-0 team. They were heading into Week 13. They had the bye that was – the schedule was all fugazi because of the corona, and they had the bye when it wasn't supposed to be the bye. But they were 11-0, and there was chatter of a 16-0 season. And then the walls started caving in, right? It was like an earthquake, and it didn't stop. The Steelers finished the regular season with a 1-4 record. They even lost to the Bengals. They even lost to the Bengals over the final 5 games. That defense, which we know is the meat and potatoes of the Steelers, became ramen noodles and mincemeat. It's like something our guy Marcel in Brooklyn, I hope he'll call in later. It's like something he would eat, right? I mean, several key injuries. And we'd done a negative Steeler monologue, much to the chagrin of some of the Steeler apologists that listened to the show. And I was like, the defense is not going to be as good. Third overall in scoring defense. However, Pittsburgh allowed the last 5 weeks of the season, their defense allowed almost 25 points per game. Not so much all on the defense in this game because it was just handing the Browns a short field, giving them touchdowns. Ben Roethlisberger, let's be honest here, he has looked the last part of the season like a washed-up heavyweight champ, collecting a paycheck, going through the motions. He has. That's just the way it is. Here's the thing, though. If you look at the box score, you wouldn't say that, right? Because he had 501 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. He also had 21 incompletions and 4 interceptions. And those are the killers. Think of this like an intergalactic space reference. Do not allow a falling star to fall on you. The last 4 weeks, Ben Roethlisberger had 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a passer rating in the 80s. That's not good. He was averaging less than 6 yards per attempt. If he was a horse, like in the horse business, he would have been turned into glue with that kind of performance. And Baker Mayfield, listen, I ripped Baker Mayfield too. Baker Mayfield was the better player in Wild Card Weekend. He was just the better player in this game. He didn't have the 500 yards passing. He didn't have 4 touchdowns, but he didn't turn the ball over the way that Roethlisberger did. Here is Ben Roethlisberger. He was asked whether or not he can play still. What do you think he's going to say? Let's find out.
Do you think you still can play at this level the way you have?
I'd like to think so. But obviously you can't turn the ball over, and it kills your team, kills your chances.
That is accurate. All right, here's Roethlisberger asked about the difference between 11-0 and what happened after 11-0.
We just didn't win. I don't have any magical answers. It just we didn't put it together. Like I said tonight, I mean the glaring issue is we turned the ball over. We turned the ball over a ton, and that just can't happen.
I think the quote that you're looking for, Ben to Ben here, helping you out. The quote that you're looking for is, "We sucked at a time you cannot suck," which was the last part of the season. Now, one of the popular fall guys, last word here, one of the popular fall guys for Pittsburgh is TikTok star Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't even know why. Smith-Schuster, very verbose in disparaging the Brownies in the lead up to the game. He said the quote, which was midweek, he says, "I think they're still the same Browns. Same Browns teams I play every year," Juju said. "I think they're nameless gray faces. They have a couple of good players on their team, but at the end of the day, I don't know. The Browns is the Browns," close quote. Now, considering the outcome, many people are dancing on the Schadenfreude for Juju Smith-Schuster here. They are also, these geniuses are convinced that Cleveland's domination of Pittsburgh was a direct result. There's a correlation between Juju Smith-Schuster saying the Browns is the Browns and the outcome. Here's my position on this. Bull crap, right? The Steelers lost because they didn't play well. They did not answer the start of the game. It was a historic collapse. It's like it's at the Olympics and you got to run a race and the gun goes off to start the race and you're like, all right, I'll wait like 30 seconds, then I'll get going. It was a disgraceful performance. I wanted to dust off the old VHS tape, which was at my parents' house when I was going through their stuff, of a super duper football follies video, because Pittsburgh that snap was right out of one of those super duper football follies videos to start the game. And there were drop passes, not many of those, but there were deflected passes, bobbled passes, players slipping, falling, all that stuff. And this was not because of some quote from Juju. You think Pouncey's like, oh, Juju said the Browns is the Browns, so I better throw the snap over the head of Roethlisberger. You know, the whole bulletin board material, it's great for sports radio, it's great for social media and things like that, but it's irrelevant. It's also what's known as after-the-fact reporting. What I mean by that is if the Steelers had actually played well and won this game, they certainly were favored to win the game, then none of this would have been brought up. It would have been swept away, and it would have been, that's it. It's after-the-fact reporting. It's rewriting the story because it's a good narrative. It's a sexy narrative. Say, Juju Smith-Schuster completely effed up, and that's why the Steelers lost. It's not true, but it's a good story.